We cannot change anything unless we accept it. I do regret many follies which sprang from my obstinacy, but without that trait I would not have reached my goal. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in a life than the greatest of things without it. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. Whatever is rejected from the self appears in the world as an event. Sometimes you have to do something unforgivable just to be able to go on living. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. There can be no transforming of darkness into light and of apathy into movement without emotion. I don't aspire to be a good man. I aspire to be a whole man. If the path before you is clear, you're probably on someone else's path. There are as many nights as days, and the one is just as long as the other in the year's course. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Nobody, as long as he moves among the chaotic currents of life, is without trouble. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being. The bigger the crowd, the more negligible the individual. It all depends on how we look at things and not on how things are in themselves. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. Follow that will and that way which experience confirms to be your own. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Indeed, intuition does not denote something contrary to reason, but something outside of the province of reason. In each of us there is another whom we do not know. The majority of my patients consisted not of believers, but of those who had lost their faith. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. If one does not understand a person, one tends to regard him as a fool. Midlife is the time to let go of an over-dominant ego and to contemplate the deeper significance of human existence. The first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego. The second half is going inward and letting go of it. The gods have become our diseases. I am no longer alone with myself, and I can only artificially recall the scary and beautiful feeling of solitude. This is the shadow of the fortune of love. For better to come, good must stand aside. What you resist persists. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. The best political, social, and spiritual work we can do is to withdraw the projection of our shadows onto others. To find out what is truly individual in ourselves, profound reflection is needed, and suddenly we realize how uncommonly difficult the discovery of individuality is. The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The true leader is always led. We no longer live on what we have, but on promise, no longer in the present day, but in the darkness of the future, which we expect will at last bring the proper sunshine. I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. I shall not commit the fashionable stupidity of regarding everything I cannot explain as a fraud. Every form of addiction is bad, no matter what the narcotic be, alcohol, morphine, or idealism. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Everything that irritates us about others can lead to an understanding of ourselves. The capacity for directed thinking I call intellect. The capacity for passive or undirected thinking I call intellectual intuition. A dream that is not understood remains a mere occurrence. Understood, it becomes a living experience. If a man knows more than others, he becomes lonely. A special ability means a heavy expenditure of energy in a particular direction, with a consequent drain from some other side of life. To ask the right question is already half the solution of a problem. Please subscribe for more videos.